Hi everyone, so I'm finally sitting down to do this video, and it is a video I really wanted to do and I always knew that I would do, and it's my first trimester tips video. Tips and advice. It's going to be very chatty. I'm not going to be like showing you products or telling you to buy anything in this video. I have got a few things, but I'll like link it all down below. I just want to sit and chat to you guys and be quite real, and I couldn't be filming this at a more appropriate time, although I am now 20 weeks, which means I'm halfway through my pregnancy, which is crazy. Today I threw up again. It's so annoying. I haven't been sick at all that much in my second trimester, only twice I think. I'm so lucky, but today is one of those days, and I put off doing the video, but then thought, actually, do you know what? I'm gonna do it, because even if I'm not feeling 100%, that's kind of what this video is all about. So I am 20 weeks, I'm in my second trimester now, and I wanted to look back at my first trimester, chat about it, and I just know that when I was in that beginning stage, when I first found out I was pregnant, when my symptoms kicked in at 6 weeks, I was just going onto YouTube and watching every video I could, and it made me feel so much less alone. It made me feel comforted, and some of the advice was really helpful. So if you're watching this and you're not pregnant, don't worry, you're not weird. I also did that for about 3 years before I got pregnant. But if you are watching this and you recently found out you're pregnant, you're in your first trimester, then congratulations, very exciting. Although I know when people say that to you and you're in it, you're just like, it's not exciting. Is that one of my tips actually? It's not, but I'm gonna start by saying that. If you are pregnant and you're in your first trimester and you're just feeling like shit and a bit depressed, that's okay. Don't make yourself feel guilty about it, because I really think, apart from like the weekend I found out I was pregnant, I was not excited at all until I got into my second trimester. People I told would be like, oh my God, it's amazing. And I was just like, it's not, it's shit. And I felt really bad about that. I kept beating myself up thinking, God, I should be so grateful. Of course, like so many people struggle to get pregnant. But when you're in that and you just feel awful, it's okay. Allow yourself to wallow. It is crap. I'm giving you all my sympathy, but hopefully this video will help you a little bit. So I've written down all of my tips. I'm sure I've missed loads. But the first one is to tell someone. Now, there's a big thing around not telling anyone you're pregnant until you're 12 weeks, which is when you have your scan in the UK and you check everything's okay. By the way, it's very different in all different countries. My friend in Germany is pregnant, and I think she had her scan at 10 weeks. It's different everywhere, but I'm going to talk from the UK, obviously. You have your scan at 12 weeks and you check everything's okay, and a lot of people don't feel comfortable telling anyone until then. Especially if they've had previous miscarriages. Totally understandable, do what works for you. But don't feel pressured because of that to not tell people. I think it's totally a personal preference. I told my family, I think we told Rich's family, and I told a couple of close friends. And for me, it made such a massive difference. I've written here, mums versus non-mums, and I do think there's a massive difference between telling someone who's had a baby before and telling someone who's never had a baby before. Telling someone who's never been pregnant before isn't that beneficial to you. It's quite fun, but then also you're a bit nervous, so I'd save those ones until the 12 weeks, because then you can be excited as well. Telling someone who's never been pregnant before, they're kind of like, oh my God, it's so exciting. And I don't know, it doesn't really benefit you much. Telling someone who's been through it before, especially if it's a friend who's been through it recently, it just makes all the difference. I could text my friend and tell her if I'd thrown up, and she had sympathy that was genuine and I knew she'd understand. Or I could ask about maternity bras or anything that I needed before that 12 weeks, because there are things that you need and you just feel so alone, like you can't talk to anyone. So talking to someone who's been through it before, it's so nice to have that sympathy. Obviously your partner, like Rich, was so helpful and kind to me, but he can't possibly ever understand what I was going through. And that's where like my mum and my sisters and a couple of friends really made such a difference to that beginning part. So don't be afraid to tell someone if you want to, if you trust that person to keep it a secret and you think that they're gonna help you. I've put fresh foods. Now obviously the food thing is very personal depending on what you are wanting at that time. For me, the things that were making me feel less nauseous, I was very sick at the beginning from like 6 weeks to 10 weeks maybe. And I actually don't think there's anything that could stop me being sick, but when I felt sick, the things that I felt better about eating were fresh foods, because they kind of like, I can't explain, they just made my mouth, the horrible taste of my mouth go away, and it made everything feel more uplifting and fresh. So things like cucumber, like cold cucumber, frozen grapes. My friend suggested putting grapes in the freezer. They were so nice because it's just little and you can like suck on them, and it was really refreshing. And apples, that's what I had a lot of, but again, it's totally up to you what makes you feel good. Just eat what makes you feel good. And then there's that metallic taste. If you have that metallic taste, I think it's really common, and it's not something I knew before I got pregnant, but it's actually one of the worst symptoms, I think, at the beginning, because it's so constant, it makes you feel really awful all the time, but you get this very strong metallic taste in your mouth, and I definitely had it. And the only thing that really helped with that was something that my sister recommended, Werther's Originals. I don't know if they do them everywhere in the world, but they're like hard toffee sweets. And I just found I always had some in my handbag, especially if I was out and doing work things with people who didn't know, and just sucking on one of those would just kind of get rid of the taste and make me feel a bit less sick. So those were really good. Maternity jeans. Again, I think people think that you don't get maternity jeans until you are big or until you're past 12 weeks, but that beginning stage, although you might not be growing a bump as such, you feel uncomfortable, you feel a bit bigger in places. I don't know, for me, I just like couldn't even get my jeans on at all from like 9 to 10 weeks. So I bought myself some maternity jeans. I just got them on ASOS, so I didn't have to go into a shop and bump into anyone I know. I got the ASOS Ridley high-waisted under the bump jeans, so not the ones that go over, just the ones that go under. It meant that I had to wear like a longer top just to cover the elastic, but it made me feel so much more comfortable like every day, and it made such a difference. So don't be afraid to buy those a little early on if you have to and if you want to. Walks in the fresh air. Now, when I was feeling really crap, I'll never forget my sister text me being like, you can't sit at home all day, it's gonna make you feel worse. And I literally wanted to kill her. And on some days I was just like, leave me alone, I need to sit on the sofa. But when I did feel better, going out and going for a walk in the fresh air did make me feel better. It really did. I'm just kind of like deep breaths outside. Even if I just went and stood outside in my garden for a little while, it made me feel a bit less sick and a bit less claustrophobic and a bit less gross. So I would recommend going for like a little walk, trying to get as much fresh air as you can. Something I bought early on as well is a bath pillow. Now, there's lots of like mixed info on baths during pregnancy and whether you can or you can't have them. And my advice to you would be to check with your own midwife or do your own research online. For me, as far as I'm aware, it's all about not raising your temperature in the first trimester. That's quite important, not to like raise your body temperature. So as long as the bath isn't above your body temperature, so you can't have like a scalding hot bath like I used to, but you can have like a kind of body temperature warm bath. And obviously the products that you use, you need to just check you're not using like heavy essential oils or like the wrong types of essential oils. But there are also lots of maternity friendly bath products. Anyway, that wasn't the point. Bath pillow changed my life. Got it on Amazon, I think it was like £15. I will link it down below. But it just means that you don't have to sit in the bath. You can lie and it just like rests your head and it feels so comfortable. It's so good. I actually bought my mum one at the same time because I loved it so much. Something I think is very much needed, which I would like to invent, is something for your feet to grip onto at the end of the bath. Because I find that if I'm lying, I rest my head on the pillow, and then my feet are like constantly slipping at the end. You need something like grippy to like slot your feet into. Anyway, let me know if that's just me being weird. But a bath pillow, have your baths, have safe baths. It makes you feel better if you love a good bath. Oh, I said bath a lot. Snack pots and mini zip bags. So I've got mini sandwich bags that are like this small. I used to always get them when I was in America, but you can definitely get them here now. And Rich actually bought me these little snack pots. They're like little mini Tupperwares. I think they're actually meant for kids, but they're great to carry around with you. At the beginning, it's all about not letting yourself get hungry, constantly snacking on little things, because if your stomach's empty, you're gonna feel more sick. And it's really hard to force yourself to eat when you feel sick, but when you do, it does make you feel better. So I'd carry a little Ziploc bag of Cheerios. Dry Cheerios actually are what I ate every morning in my first trimester. I'd keep them on my bedside table, wake up in the morning, have a handful of dry Cheerios, and it just meant that I could get up and brush my teeth and start the day without feeling sick as soon as I stand up. So the little Ziploc bags are good for your bag, as well as the little snack pots, which you can keep like cut up cucumber or carrot or whatever you want to snack on in there. Whew, I am not feeling great today. A nice facial mist made me feel better. I had such high anxiety in my first trimester, not even something I've necessarily had to deal with a lot. I've had like bouts of anxiety, but I'm not the sort of person that's constantly anxious. And I really felt like I was constantly anxious from like 6 weeks to 12 weeks. So I had a spray from the brand Therapy. It's called the Aura Spray, and I just loved the smell of it, and I'd spray it on whenever I felt anxious and breathe it in, and it just made me feel calm. So whatever that version is for you, it could be any kind of facial mist. Obviously make sure it's safe to use, but I'm pretty sure they are. You're not like drinking it. Any smells that make you feel calm, even if it's lighting a candle, try and like bring down that anxiety level, because it was a really horrible part of it. I really felt like I was in a bubble, and I also felt like it was never going to pass. And I know that some people really battle with their pregnancies the whole way through and are sick the whole way through, but from speaking to people, I think even those people who don't necessarily get over the sickness at 12 weeks, I think that first trimester kind of personality loss, high anxiety, I think that does go away. So if you're in it now, I'm so sorry, but it will get better, I promise. And when people said that to me, I didn't believe them, but it does. Like, it was kind of overnight. My personality came back, and I felt like I could like breathe, and I felt like I had an opinion on stuff, and I cared, and I started to become excited. And in that first bit, I was just like, I just felt blank all the time and sad and anxious. So don't worry, it is normal. So on that note, cancel plans, allow yourself to slob out. Don't feel like you have to do stuff. And I know, aside from work, obviously there's some things you just have to do. Other extra things, don't feel guilty about cancelling on friends. They will understand as soon as you are able to announce it. But I'd say just don't push yourself. Like, be kind to yourself in that first trimester. And I think that's really important. If you want to stay in and just sit on your sofa, stay in and sit on your sofa. Don't push yourself to do more than you can. I think getting a pregnancy app is quite a good idea as well. My mum thinks that she's like, in my day we never had these things. She was convinced that it was making me feel more sick because I knew what was happening in my body, but I actually think it was quite comforting to know what was going on. I use an app called the Ovia pregnancy app. I really like it. I tried like 3, so I didn't try loads. But I like the way it's set out, and it's not too complicated. It will compare your baby to a size of a vegetable or a pastry or an animal, depending on what you want. And then every week it will kind of give you a little brief description on how your baby has developed over that week. And you can put in like nicknames for your baby or anything like that. And it's just nice to have something to check, especially if you can't talk to many people in that first trimester. It's something a bit comforting, something to look forward to every week. I found that at the beginning, the weeks were going so slowly. Like now they're going so fast. I'm like, I can't believe I'm 20 weeks. I can't believe I'm 21 weeks. It just goes. At the beginning, I just remember saying to Rich, like, I can't wait till next Tuesday, just because so it's another week that's gone, and the days were like crawling so slowly, it's mad. But it is something to look forward to when you know your app's gonna like update on that Wednesday or whatever. And if you really don't want to wait for that 12-week scan, you obviously can go private if you can afford it and do like an earlier scan. They're normally internal, which means that they have to go like up inside you. But if you want to, you know, when I went, I said to him, I was like, I'm so embarrassed because I have no reason to be here. Like, I haven't had IVF or I haven't got any like previous problems. He was like, it's okay, don't worry. Like, you're allowed to if you want to. And that did make me feel better. Like, I think we heard the heartbeat at 7 or 8 weeks, and it did make me feel a bit better. But again, it's totally normal just to wait for the 12 weeks. So that's completely up to you. When it comes to eating, don't worry about eating healthy. And I read that in so many places and it made me feel so much better. Like, once you get into your second trimester, you can start thinking about nourishing foods and looking after your body. But at the beginning, it's just about getting through and stopping yourself from being sick or feeling sick. Just don't worry about eating quinoa salads. If you want to eat chips every day, I went through a phase of eating micro chips, like the microwavable ones, every day. Anything. I just had plain bread, like, I ate so badly. So don't worry about being healthy, just eat what you can. I think it's also really important at that beginning stage, especially if your partner is the only person you've told, to be really open and honest with them. I know it could be quite a shock. It was quite a shock to Rich that suddenly I was just feeling awful. I went from being like, oh God, I'm pregnant, like 4 weeks I found out, and then 6 weeks it like hit. And it's scary for them too, because they want to help, they don't really know how to help, they feel guilty. Like Rich said many times, I would love to take this off you, but I can't. So I think the best thing you can do to kind of come together and be a team is to just be really open and honest with them. Tell them how you're feeling, try and explain so that they understand, and tell them how they can help you if you know. I said to Rich quite early on, just please take over house stuff. Like, I can't empty the dishwasher, I can't do the cooking, I can't eat, I can't look at dinner, like please do that, or like help me film this video, because I had to do a few sponsored videos and I just like needed his support. I needed someone there, like I could barely stand up without feeling really breathless. So instead of just kind of taking it out on them or just being angry, just help them to help you. And then the final one, I've just written hot Ribena. I think that was just a personal thing, but I found that like having a hot drink was quite comforting. For me, like hot Ribena was something I used to always have when I was sick. So although being pregnant isn't being sick, it comforted me. Also, so many people said that. Like, I see people say that all the time. Like, you have to remember being pregnant isn't a sickness, isn't an illness. And I just don't see the benefit of people saying that. Of course it isn't. No one thinks that being pregnant is an illness or a sickness, but saying that and making someone feel guilty, it just made me feel so much worse actually. So just allow yourself to feel shit. Like, yes, it is an amazing privilege to be pregnant. You are so lucky if you are pregnant. I am so lucky that I am pregnant, but it's also pretty shit at the beginning, and only people who have been through it will understand. So don't worry, allow yourself to just think, fuck this shit. So those are all my tips for the first trimester. Time goes slowly, but you will get to that 12-week mark. You'll have your scan and everything will change from then. And now I'm in my second trimester. I wouldn't say that I feel amazing. Like I said, I threw up this morning, and whenever you guys comment saying you're glowing, it's always when I'm wearing like 3 layers of foundation. You should see me during the day, but thank you anyway for those comments. Pregnancy for some people is the best thing. Pregnancy for others is the worst. And then for some people like me, there's good days and bad days. But the second trimester is definitely better than the first so far. So congrats again if you are pregnant. And thank you guys for watching this video. I really hope it was helpful. And have an amazing Christmas. This is my last video before Christmas. So have a really nice Christmas. I'm hopefully gonna take some time off. You should too. Enjoy spending it with family, eating great food, and hopefully getting a few presents. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.